Muslim history and Chinese history rarely appear in the same story, but in the 1400s, they collided in a way that shaped the future of an entire empire. It begins with a boy from Central Asia taken captive and brought to China as a servant. His name was He, later known to the world as Zheng He. Few could have imagined that this young Muslim would one day rise to become the most powerful admiral in Chinese history and lead the fleet that protected China from a foreign invasion. Zheng He grew up in Yunnan, a region with deep Muslim roots. After being captured during a Ming Dynasty campaign, he was brought to the imperial court, where his intelligence and loyalty quickly caught the attention of the future Emperor Yongle. Over time, he earned his trust, his respect, and eventually a new name. As Zheng he was placed in charge of the greatest naval force the world had ever seen. More than 300 ships, some the size of football fields, crewed by 27,000 men. These treasure ships were not built for war alone. Their mission was diplomacy, trade, and projecting China's power across the seas. But the world beyond China was unstable. Rival kingdoms, pirates, and foreign powers all watched the Ming Empire with interest, and during one of Zheng He's voyages, a threat emerged that few expected. A powerful kingdom on the Indian Ocean disrupted Chinese trade routes and began seizing ships. For the Ming Dynasty, this wasn't just an insult, it was a challenge to their authority. Zheng He was ordered to handle it. The kingdom was ruled by the feared King Al-Hassan of Sri Lanka, who refused to acknowledge China's power. He mocked Zheng He's fleet and tried to capture Chinese envoys. Most commanders would have retreated, but Zheng He understood diplomacy and force better than anyone. He landed his troops, marched inland, and confronted the king directly. In a stunning victory, he captured Al-Hassan and transported him across the sea to China, where he was forced to swear loyalty to the Ming Emperor. It was a moment that sent shockwaves across the Indian Ocean. China's enemies realized the empire would not be intimidated. Zheng He had stopped what could have become a regional conflict, one that might have spilled into full invasion. But that wasn't the end of his story. On another expedition, Zheng He protected China from a far more dangerous threat: armed pirates who controlled critical sea lanes. Led by Chen Zui, these pirates disrupted trade, attacked merchant fleets, and threatened to cut China off from key economic partners. Zheng He approached with caution, offering Chen Zui a chance to surrender. The pirate king refused, so Zheng He launched a naval assault that remains one of the most decisive battles in Asian maritime history. His fleet destroyed the pirates, captured their leaders, and executed them. In doing so, he secured the sea routes that connected China to the Muslim world, East Africa, and India. Without this victory, China's overseas presence might have collapsed entirely. Zheng He's success wasn't just military. He built alliances with Muslim merchants across the Indian Ocean, visited Mecca, supported mosques, and maintained his faith throughout his career. Everywhere he traveled, he carried two identities proudly: a loyal servant of China and a Muslim, navigating the highest levels of imperial power. His diplomacy kept foreign enemies at bay, protected China's maritime borders, and strengthened ties between civilizations. By the end of his 7 voyages, Zheng He had turned the Ming Navy into a force no kingdom dared to provoke. He safeguarded China's coastline, secured its trade routes, and extended its influence farther than any dynasty before or after. And at the heart of it all was a Muslim admiral whose life began as a prisoner and ended as a legend. History often hides its most surprising stories, but Zheng He's journey stands as a reminder that the boundaries between civilizations are never as rigid as they seem. Sometimes the person who saves an empire doesn't come from within, but from far beyond its borders.